So today we're making a visit to the Alden Hill Conservation Area. The Alden Hill Road is up off the Crash Road right behind the Pixel Paper Mill in Jay. Here's the road that takes you down to the conservation area. Most of the property off to the left here is owned by the Androscoggin Land Trust. And here's the sign to the entrance of the property.
So this is 396 acres. It was acquired from Verso Paper in 2006. It's part of the Land Trust, the Androscoggin Land Trust. We have about 5,000 acres, about 2,500 acres we harvest wood on. Harvesting wood allows us to, it brings in income, so it supports the land trust.
Hunting and trapping, fishing.
We manage our lands for wildlife. We don't cut any wood without a forest management plan. Steve Gettle is our forester here, and we've been involved in this area for about 20 years. Our land trust is about 30 years old. We're a collection of people. We have about 200 members who believe in preserving land for recreation, wildlife, and for timber. So that's a little bit about the land trust.
To grow, you have bark on the outside that's very thin. Well, the layer for survival on a tree is a very thin layer, about the thickness of your hair, right under the bark. So if you took the bark off in this diameter all the way around the tree, it would kill this tree. You don't actually have to cut it down. So you have what they call xylem and phloem. Xylem and phloem. Xylem brings the water up from the ground, and phloem sends the food down to the roots. All this part of the tree from here in is dead. It's just that little layer where the water goes up, the food goes down. So to damage a tree, if you just took, you call it girdling, you take the girdling off all the way around, the bark all the way off, that will kill that tree. You have the outer side is usually a different color because it's full of sap. Well, in a hardwood tree, this is that no water travels up this tree in the middle. It's only on the outside. So the heart of the tree turns a different color. It can be a variety of different things why the heart turns a different color and why the heart is a different size compared to other trees. But if you look at the rings, you can see probably it grew the same for probably 45 years or so, and then boom, it took off, grew really quick. And then it slipped for about 7 or 8 years, then it slowed down again for another, probably another 15 years, and then it grew really fast in the last 12 or 13 years. So that all depends on what's growing around it. If you have trees all the way around it, it'll grow slow, continually. So the idea of doing harvesting is to do a break. You cut the stand, open up the trees around it, it grows fast. And the idea is to grow it for so long and thin again, grow it for so long and thin again, so these wide growth rings continue all the time. You never get a slowdown where it's got too much competition or not enough soil, sunlight, or not enough water or nutrients. So the idea is to keep the growth rings as fast as growing as fast as you can.
Good. So the harvester comes up, grabs the bottom of the tree, and cuts it off. Then it rotates the tree. Then it feeds the tree through. That's what these things do. Feed the tree through. Then at the bottom there, cut your log off. And this is the counter, and that counts exactly how far the log moved. So you can grab the tree, cut the tree, rotate it, feed it through with the counter to exactly the right length, and then cut it off and drop it on the ground. And then the forwarder comes along, picks it up, puts it on its back, and takes it out to the landing.
In the future, we'd go here. Pistons, so he can, see I can tilt that. He can go, so that he can be on a side hill like that, but he'd be level cut as he's cut. Because it goes, those pistons go up and down. That's on you, not all equipment.
So these pistons allow the cab to stay level on uneven ground.
Big dimples, these are called feed rollers. So he feeds that he grips that tree, and then he's got this right here. This is his counter. So when he grabs that tree and he starts, this counts the footage. He knows exactly how long that log is and then cuts it off. Because he's not up there going, that's it right there, you know. So, and if he cuts a tree and he gets it down and he's not exactly sure, he'll run it up, and he'll come back and he'll start it over again. So he knows it's at the end, okay? So these are the feed rollers. This is accumulating arms. And you can see the teeth there. These are carbide teeth. So you can, they're four-sided. So you run them so often, for so long, and then you turn them a quarter turn. And then so you get 4 lives out of one tooth. But he can tell you what they cost, and they'll scare you what they cost, you know. So Lance, enlighten us on what's the head speed again?
The saw speed is 10,000 RPM.
10,000 RPM. How much is the tooth?
And a tooth is roughly right now about $13 a piece.
And how long do your teeth survive?
It all depends on how many rocks I hit.
So you think
they
about
only survive one rock hit, but I do rotate them 4 times. They are rotatable,
so you know that snows is deep. So he doesn't just take that head, run and bury it in the snow, and you know, once you go around that tree, just make sure there's nothing right there, and then because if he cuts the trees off at this high all the time, that's a big chunk of wood that's not in your
Is that saw coming out like this?
yeah. Saw
Okay.
practical.
Okay. Yeah.
It's on an arm.
Yeah.
So I explained your feed rollers, your counter. See the little salt there?
Yep.
That's his topper. So when he gets to the top of the tree, he can top off. You know, he can top things or limb them. If he turns them sideways, he can limb a tree that way. But it's a chainsaw bar. So how often do you have to change that, Lance?
Not very often. I mean, that's I don't use it very often.
Yeah.
A crotch in a tree.
Now, a little over that.
So this is the forwarder, and we were seeing this being operated when we were out dealing with the veneer logs, but they go out in the forest, and after the harvester has cut it, they use the big arm to pick the logs up, load it onto its back, and forward them out. And you can see it has tracks on the back. That helps to lower the pressure on the ground. It's got some chains on the front. And by putting the slash, putting those branches down on the ground, it minimizes the impact to the soil, and it also keeps from damaging the trees because they're not dragging them out, they're hauling them out on this thing's back.
See, there's rotary veneer. That's just like a roll of toilet paper. You pull it off like a roll of toilet paper. And then there's slicer veneer. That's sliced from end to end. And that's, when they slice it, they actually dry it in a log form, little sheets. I have to ask Dick again exactly, but I think it's like 3/64 of an inch, the slicing this stuff, and that's the highest value. So we want to get all the slicer logs out and all the rotary logs out. So we scale all the veneer on all my jobs in the woods, because we'll know when Dick leaves that he'll print us a sheet that says this is what every log was, and we tag every log with a mark. Okay, so this log it gets bought on that. Knows the landowner, the harvest notification number. It goes through the sawmill. They know he bought it at X grade. They know exactly how it turned out. So it's very, very well tracked. So that's the idea we're doing now.
Can I just add something? Yep. We talked about the sliced veneer being piled like a log. That's so you can take the patterns in the wood grain and fold it out, so when you've got plywood or wall paneling or whatever, you're following the same pattern.
And usually not for houses, like libraries in Yale and those kinds of places. On the walls. I mean, you're not going to find this in a lot of people's houses. It's going to end up at some high-end place somewhere. And China buys a lot of our veneer.
Steve, just real quick, can you explain the difference between veneer and pulpwood?
Yes.
I know we all know this, but...
Well, when you cut a tree, like this, there's a good example right here. Right here's a red oak that's got paint on it. Okay, you see the blue paint going across there above the snow? So right, veneer is usually the butt logs, where the logs get sawn, okay? Where the butts are always better than higher up. Okay, there's more volume in the butt. So veneer is your best cut typically, it's your biggest diameter. Then it goes to saw logs, and there's various grades of saw logs depending on the size of the knots of the branches coming out of the tree. Okay, and then you go into pallet logs, which pallet logs, they don't like to call it this. They're called, I think they're called engineered structures, because pallet logs makes it sound not worth anything. But our mill here in Livermore Falls, Pallet 1, is a high-tech pallet mill. I mean, they send pallets to go all over the world. So that's your next quality. That's above pulpwood, and then pulpwood is usually in the branches or a low quality. It might have rot in the tree. You can't get a log out of it. But every time you cut a tree, it could have any one of those or multiple ones of those in a tree. And so like that oak right there, it's not sawn yet, but you see there's branches up about 8 feet. So it's going to kick it out of veneer. But it'll be a beautiful saw log, probably a select saw log. Now the next one up, knots are, nobody likes knots in their wood. Okay. Oh, you ready?
Let me do that so you keep talking.
Oh, what's that for? Well, when we signed contracts back in June, this was the current pricing. This is what I sent to Doug, and I said, don't have a heart attack. These aren't errors in change of value. This is real dollars that's changed because we waited. I said, the market's not good. Wait, and it's going to go up. And he did. And you are the beneficiary. Okay? So, for example, when you look at this, I have the old and the current. Green is current, orange is old. But this, for example, hard maple saw logs. I was going to pay you stumpage. The landowner was $360 1,000 board feet. Now we're at $480. 34% up. That's a lot of money. Okay. Ash. This is just amazing. Ash. The highest value I was going to be able to pay you was $220. That's for your beautiful straight ash. 13 inches and up, no knots. Now, that's $360. That's actually a 60% increase in price. So that's my job.
Steve,
I need to know.
Just a question. So I would think that are a lot of people cutting ash because of the threat of emerald ash borer?
A lot of people are, but they cut it. A lot of people can't wait to cut wood, so they cut it all the time. Like this summer, loggers wouldn't survive if they didn't cut somebody's woodlot. So somebody took the short end of the stick because prices were bad. But you got to move wood. I didn't cut any hardwood until mid-November on any woodlots. So it was a tough summer. Okay, but you're right. People are cutting ash, but they don't buy ash veneer in the wintertime. I mean, in the summertime. So this is just saw log prices. Ash veneer is paying a lot more than that, but you can't get it if you start going buys it in the winter.
So the higher quality ash is worth
big dollars.
Big dollars right now, and a lot of people are cutting probably lower quality ash if they're worried about EAB.
All their ash.
They're just cutting it because of EAB.
And honestly, I'm from Pennsylvania, and I've cruised woodlots down there in West Virginia, Maryland, Pennsylvania. The ash is gone. It's not dying. It's gone. Okay, so it's not like you want as a trust. You don't want to continue growing ash. I mean, a lot of woodlots I cut 10 years ago, you walk out there and go, why did you cut the ash? It wasn't a problem 10 years ago. Now we have to get rid of it because it's not going to be here. You do not want to perpetuate ash. Now I'm not to the point where I'll cut every ash tree I come to. But if it's got a log in it, we don't plan to be back there for 10 or 15 years, we're cutting it because you're going to lose it. It will be gone. Not if, maybe, it will be. And the emerald ash borer is here a lot of places. It just hasn't even shown up. It has shown up in a number of places, but it just hasn't. The trouble is, once it's seen, it's been here too long. And it's not like the gypsy moth, where gypsy moth comes in, defoliates the tree maybe 2 years in a row and moves on. Ash doesn't do that. Emerald ash borer kills every tree. Big, small, little, doesn't matter. It gets them all. So it's a bad one. It really is a bad one. But because of that, it's forced our ash to be highly valuable. And you're going to see some ash here today too. So we'll go look at it, but I'm going to hand that to you. So if people got prices issues, you can.
So he's using a Biltmore stick over there to measure the diameter, and he can determine how many board feet of lumber are in that log.
And he's a bigger buyer right there, just here from Lance's the contractor. So that one log there, it says a 15 on it. That's a slicer grade log. That's going to be slicing end to end. We're going one grade higher than that. Okay? That log has 80 board feet in it. So you got the paperwork here. Let's switch to that log we didn't buy. There's a bunion right next to the plant. It had a bunion on it. So that log was just falling, and that's the only one so far that's falling on this plant.
What's a bunion?
A knot, okay. A branch, okay? So that kicks out a veneer. But that would be a beautiful saw log. So this one here was a 15. Okay, the tag has got a barcode on it. So when he buys it, they know what he bought it for grade and how many board feet in it. It goes to the mill, they keep record of that, and they'll know exactly what they sawed out of it because they really get the grade Dick said it was. So this is high value wood, so if you're wrong a lot, Dick loses his job. You know, and he's very good. I've been working with Dick for 20 years, longer. Okay, so this 15 one, just give you an example. One log, it had 80 board feet in it. 80 times 50, so that's $75. That one log is worth half of a load of pulpwood. One log. Half a load of pulpwood.
That pile of logs is going to the veneer is just about what everything else in the yard is.
Be close. It'll be close. And so kind of there's the number system is kind of a little funny, but that 15 shows it says a 10 and then it's flat 10, 14. That is, it's a grade 15, it's a 10 footer, and the second number is the diameter. So the next log is a 33, it's a grade 33, it's a 10 footer, and the diameter is a 15 inch. Next log is a grade 30, it's a 10 footer, but you see there's a line and cut back, and there's a 9. We cut that one back to a 9 foot because it had a little sweep on the end of that log. The butt end of that log kind of turned. So he did what we call a paper cut. When he puts it on there, I'll show you. Okay, perfect. You see how it's got a crook in it? He takes the foot off that other end, it straightens it out. Okay? So he cut it back to a 9 footer, but we didn't literally physically cut it back to a 9 footer. We call it a paper cut. Okay? If we did it, if he has one that we got to really play with, we'll cut off an end. And we usually only do that on the maple, because the maple is so high value, he has to be sure when he pays the prices that are in here that it's really good. But so that was an ash log right there, okay? And that would have been normally just as a regular saw log. That got paid for at a veneer rate, which again was, let's go to this big one down here. That's a 17, that's the highest grade oak veneer. It's a 9 footer, and it's 20 inches. That's got to have 120 board feet in it. So your stumpage price is about $1,125 a thousand. So that one log is probably $140 log. Almost the same price as one load of pulpwood. One log. That's why we do what we do, because you just can't, you got to get all that value out. So, no, this is birch. Okay, you've got a birch log.
So he's using the stick over here, he's getting the diameter. He's got a little computer in his hand to be able to do some calculations with, and he's also recording all the logs. But he's marking the length, he's marking the value, he's recording it, and it's got a barcode reader. So when he goes and he puts that little stamp on the top, little marker into the end of the log, that little device in his hand is keeping track of all those logs. So they have like a computerized inventory of all the wood that's going out. And these veneer logs are worth big money.
There's some defects that kick logs out of veneer too. What do they call mineral? Look at the log, it's got these black streaks in it. And it occurs in oak. You haven't really seen it here. It's a good thing. You can move the log like that to a lower quality. Now, this is something that
notice how he's always pointing the small end of the log at us.
I should have explained that.
Because we always measure on the short end, the small end of the log. The
small end of the log is the log end that gets scaled. So the less taper you have, the better. Okay? So, look at the ash right next to it. See how small the heart is. Typically ash heart is very big. So in the wintertime, they'll buy ash veneer at the same price as an oak veneer if it has small heart. Less than 1
much space?
When you're using your Biltmore stick, you always take your measurement of diameter at the thin end of the log.
Or 15 grade, it has to go down a grade.
Is that because of potential defects in that log versus?
It's the growth rings are different. Everything it's a different. Even though it's the same tree, it's different qualities. The higher you go up in the tree than it is in the butt. So like that one doesn't have any glue on it. I don't believe that's a second cut. I think that's this cut. He had to butt that back so far he got out of my paint. You know? You see the flare on the butt there? You see how the butt flares? There's no doubt that wasn't three logs up in the tree. The other thing he looks for, I didn't mention this at all, but to be slicer grade, the heart has to be in the center of the tree. It can't be off to the side. If it's off to the side, it would drop down to a rotary grade. So the heart's in the center, so that's why when I'm marking and I'm trying to, like this oak here, these oak behind you, I try to open them up so that it's open at least on 2 or 3 sides. Because if it's crowded on 3 sides and it grows on one side, your heart's going to be off center. I mean, it might sound crazy, but it just affects the end quality of the log.
Steve, you got about a 1/3 rejection rate.
That's
So,
good.
is that
I think that's very good. I would say, you know, we're spot on. You know? If there were nothing in that pile, I'd say we didn't push it hard enough.
You're not pushing the limit.
And most of it on there is ash, and that's okay because you know ash is the one they only buy that in Leonard. I mean, I'd rather him say nope, we're not going to take it, than for us to say that's not going to make it. You know? And this one here, is over half heart, so it's got to be solid 13 inches, and that's more like a 12, just a little shy. So there's a good example of that oak. It's like an egg shaped. You see that oak on the end? It's because it's, you know, the trend is way over here, but its growth is way over to the left. Okay? So it'll be a veneer log, but it won't be a slicer grade log because the heart offset heart. I usually run that, so this is kind of nice. I'm the one stamping and cutting. Since Lance is here, this works great. We're gonna Dick. Yeah. What's your N stand for?
That goes to our village, northern Vermont.
Okay. So when he gets in the yard, he knows he's going to sort that for that load to go there. I knew that, but I just wanted to hit. So I said a lot of stuff goes to China. All the white wood, which we call white wood, is birch, the white birch, yellow birch, and maple. That's going to their facilities. The Presque Isle. Wow. That's going to Vermont. You're not sending another white wood to Vermont, are you? No. So all the we call it dark wood, oak. So it's just that because the grain is dark. The world goes through phases where it wants really grainy wood and dark, so they buy oak. Then it goes through phases where it likes maple, and that's or birch, where it's lighter. So it goes up and down like this. And so you see that log, see that one, how you see from here how crooked it is. He can't get a veneer log out of that. But you know, they really want that white wood, that the white birch and yellow birch. They're buying it right down to 10 inches for veneer, which is unheard of. But they need it so badly. So it's a great market, but that's just too crooked. You can't, even if you know. So how many feet have you got scaled there? Okay, they call it 3,000 feet. And let's just say it averages $800 in it, 1,000 for you. Okay? What? Well, as you can tell you what that, so 1209 is the total average. So your average is going to be around $800 probably for that. So that's $2,400 right there. That would be 24, 60, 10, 18 loads of pulpwood. right there, of hardwood pulp. Okay?
Some idea, doesn't it?
And it's not that we're not cutting hardwood pulp, it's just that we're getting all the logs out of what we've cut, okay? I mean, we're looking for a walk, you'll see this is going to be a really nice woodlot in time. I mean, there's a lot of nice young oak. In the back, there's a lot of beautiful sugar maple. They're all open to grow now, you know. But I'd say this lot was cut totally managed, totally different than your other land out there. This lot was cut hard, high graded, so, you know, I don't have a lot to work with here. I'm trying to work with what I got, but it's not like, you know, it was pristine before it reached my hands, you know.
So there's your barcode. And that little computer that he's holding over there as he's scaling and grading these logs knows the barcode, so they're doing an inventory as they're grading all of these logs.